Hey everybody, welcome, welcome to Hidden Horror. Thank you for spending this time with me. I appreciate that. Let's get started. Hey everybody, welcome to Hidden Horror. How are you guys doing today? So I'm here today to bring you an update on Andre Gordon. Do you guys remember when Andre Gordon allegedly murdered, hunted down, stalked his own family members? I really believe that his intent was to kill them all. And it's like bittersweet to me that didn't happen, but there's now some conclusion for the remaining family members that are still here. It was a really, really violent day that day. He went to his family home where his dad, his stepmom, his stepsister, all of them lived. And I think he had some issues going on with himself. He had some problems. And he decided to use violence that day. He tried to kill them all. He hunted them down. He went through the house, shooting through doors, trying to find them to kill them. And then he went about 2 miles from the family home to where his two daughters resided with their mom and grandmother. And he executed his children's mother, Taylor Daniel, in the room in front of his two young daughters. They were only 3 and 5 years old. He assaulted her mother when she tried to intervene. And this was a very dark day. Um, Tragedy is just beyond words. Your two children do not have their mother, and now you are going to be hopefully in jail for the remainder of your life, unfortunately, due to your own actions. We're going to get started with a short video because I just want to get right to it. Hopefully, this is the correct video. Yes, this is the correct video. This video is by CBS Philadelphia. It's titled Pennsylvania Man Gets 3 Life Terms After Pleading Guilty to Killing 3 Family Members. If you can recall, this case was put off a little bit because they were doing a psychiatric evaluation and that had taken some time. And while they were looking into Andre Gordon's mental state, he kind of got into some issues and got some new felony charges for incident in jail. So now fast forward, we're waiting for the trial. When is the trial? It's been a year, it's been time, and now it's all resolved. I think some people are not able to face the evil that they have committed upon people that are so close to them, having the same bloodline, being a very, very heinous way to handle your frustrations, your problems, your issues, impacting so many, taking the lives of so many people unjustly. I don't think he could face it. But let's get to this video. So this is going to start. It's less than 30 seconds.
Well, in Bucks County today, a man pleaded guilty to a triple murder last year. Andre Gordon Jr. was immediately sentenced to 3 life terms. Gordon killed his stepmother, his 13-year-old half-sister, and the mother of his children in Falls Township. Bucks DA Jennifer Shorn had considered seeking the death penalty in this case, but she said she respected the family's wishes.
Okay, so let's get right into the article. We have one more video. We have an article. two articles. Just devastating. This article is from 6abc.com. It's titled Man Pleads Guilty to Murdering Three Family Members in Bucks County. The article is dated May 28th, 2025. It's by Trish Hartman. And again, I was surprised that this came to a quick resolution because I've been waiting for the psychiatric evaluation. And I'm sure they said, hey, he can send her out and he's not going to want to hear all this horrible testimony. And I believe they had some of the murders caught on the ring cam at the family home. And then they also have the horrific 911 calls. They were begging, pleading for help against their own family member. Let's get started. A man who gunned down members of his own family in Bucks County has pleaded guilty to 3 counts of first-degree murder. Andre Gordon entered the plea at the county's Justice Center on Wednesday morning and was then sentenced to 3 life sentences in prison without the you have just heard. His own family wanted him spared from the death penalty. They wanted him spared. They want him still to be able to live because the reality is we have to have forgiveness. We have to find a way and dig deep for forgiveness. And he has these 2 little daughters that are going to grow up one day. They've already lost their mom. They've lost the grandparent. His dad's wife, she's gone. His little stepsister, 13-year-old Kera, she's gone. His dad and his children's grandmother are going to have to form a bond, come together to raise his 2 young daughters because they've lost their mom and then their dad. He's been incarcerated from now on. This is horrible. Let's continue. So sad. A man who gunned down members of his own family in Bucks County has pleaded guilty to 3 counts of first-degree murder. Andre Gordon entered the plea at the county's Justice Center on Wednesday morning and was then sentenced to 3 life sentences in prison without the possibility of parole. It is our intention that this defendant will die within the 4 walls of the correctional facility, and that is the only way that justice will be served in this case, said Bucks County District Attorney Jennifer Shorn after the sentencing. We're going to hear from her. She had like a little press conference after his sentencing. So he pled guilty. He was immediately sentenced on site. Okay. So we're going to hear from the district attorney. I want to hear what she has to say. The victims were Gordon's stepmother, 52-year-old Karen Gordon. Let me pull up a picture. I have one ready because I want you to see the victims. Excuse me. So this is Karen here. That's Andre's dad's wife, and then they had a daughter together, and that was 13-year-old Kera. Okay. Kera Gordon. And then his children's mother, her name is Taylor Daniel, and he had 2 daughters with Taylor. They were 3 and 5 years old at the time. Let me see. They may have some pictures, and I will try to enlarge it, okay? So that's Taylor right there with their 2 small daughters, okay? So I don't want to keep these pictures up because those are minors, okay? So I'm just going to not share that anymore, okay? In court, the prosecution played 911 calls, body cam video, and interviews with witnesses. I wanted to hear the 911 calls. They're not, they have little clips of them. So I said, you know what? I'm just going to let that go because they're not showing you, they're not allowing you to hear like the full 911 call that happened in court. But I think you get the point. They were begging for help. They were calling 911 for support. And they just didn't have the time. They were hiding from Mr. Gordon. Okay. Let's continue. Two 911 calls depicted the victims on the phone with dispatchers as Gordon broke into their homes armed with a gun on that day in March of 2024. In one of the calls, Daniel could be heard telling other family members to hide as Gordon was breaking in. Allegedly, their two daughters were hiding under the bed when he came and broke into the house and he shot Taylor to death. She was then killed as their two young girls hid under the covers about a foot away. Her 5-year-old child described they were hiding under the little sister's spidey covers, and she put her hand over her little sister's mouth because she was afraid Daddy would pew them too. With the gun gesture described scorn. Several victim impact statements were read before the judge. Karen Gordon's brother, Joshua Daly, spoke in court, describing his sister as an Army veteran and mother, sister, and wife. Let me get a picture. I do have a picture of her, of Karen, in her Army clothing. So let me share my screen. I want you to see that. You know, we appreciate her service. So, oh, they're going to make me go down again. My apologies. Oh, did they do something? Wait, can I go back? Okay. Let me try to click it again. Okay, they're not going to let me see it this way. Let me see if I can see her in her Army. They might have it on here. Well, here it is. Because I wanted you to see that. I wanted you to know that about Karen Gordon. You know, she was a veteran, okay? She's a mother also, a sister. She's a wife. You know, her life mattered. Okay, let's continue. I lost more than just my sister and my niece, said Daly. So this is her brother. I lost a piece of myself. He took so much from me and my family. I can't forgive him. Gordon did not say anything before he was sentenced because Gordon is a coward. He's a coward. The crime spree began that day when Gordon carjacked a woman in Trenton, New Jersey, and used her car to travel to Bucks County. Around 8:52 a.m., Falls Township police officers were called to the unit block of Viewpoint Lane in Levittown for a reported shooting. Police say that's where Gordon arrived in the stolen vehicle and then shot and killed his stepmother and his sister. 3 other people, including another 13-year-old, were inside the home at the time but were able to hide as Gordon was searching for them, investigators said. Around 9:01 a.m., police responded to the unit block of Edgewood Lane in Levittown, where Gordon killed Daniel. Gordon then allegedly bludgeoned Daniel's mother with his assault rifle before fleeing. At 9:13 a.m., Gordon carjacked an SUV at gunpoint in Morrisville and drove back into Trenton. There was an hours-long standoff at a home in the city where Gordon was believed to be hiding, but police soon learned he had fled. Gordon was later located and arrested around 5 p.m. So I have another article. I do, yeah. Let's just get to it because it's all very sad. It's all very horrific. Let's just get to it. And I'll change the picture. There's another picture of Karen. So let's put that picture up. Okay. Okay. This is by phillyburbs.com. Joe Savaglia is the writer. It's dated May 29th, 2025. It's titled, They Were Shot and Killed, Begging for Help. Victims Heard at Levittown Killer's Sentencing. The last words of Karen and Kera Gordon and Taylor Daniel were heard in a Bucks County courtroom on Wednesday, where the man who killed them last year was sentenced. The Gordons pleaded with a 911 operator for help after Karen's stepson and Kera's stepbrother started shooting into the family's Levittown home the morning of March 16th, 2024. Please, please, please hurry, 13-year-old Kera screamed. Please hurry, please. I have children here. Please, a frantic sounding Karen Gordon said, It's my stepson, Andre. Seconds later, Gordon screamed Kara's name before the line went silent. Miles away and just minutes later at another Levittown home, Taylor Daniels screamed to her mother to lock her bedroom door. It's Andre, her ex-boyfriend, the father of her two girls, she said. Mom, get out of the way. He's got a gun, Daniel yelled. He's opening the door. Mom, get into your room. Stop, stop. What followed was screaming, then silence, then a little girl's voice. Mommy. The 911 recordings, police body camera footage, a child's letter, and a slideshow featuring photos of the victims were among the evidence Bucks County prosecutors presented to show why 27-year-old Andre Gordon Jr. should never be allowed to walk free again. He won't. After Gordon pleaded guilty to the 2024 deadly crime spree and an assault while he was incarcerated, Bucks County Common Pleas Judge Raymond McHugh ordered that he serve 3 life without parole sentences, one for each victim, plus 156 and a half to 312 years in prison for his long list of related crimes. After attempting to kill his father, Andre Sr., outside his Vermilion Hills home, Gordon shot Karen Gordon, 52, and Kera, 13, through the door of the home office where they were hiding. After leaving his family's home, Gordon drove about 2 miles to where Taylor Daniel, 25-year-old, and her family, including his own young daughters, lived. He broke down a door, entered the home, and shot in front of their children, who were 5 and 3 years old at the time and hiding under a bed. Gordon also assaulted Daniel's mother, Nancy, after she attacked him with an axe handle. After leaving Daniel's home, Gordon ditched the car he stole at gunpoint in New Jersey and carjacked a man at gunpoint in Morrisville before driving back to Trenton and barricading himself in a family member's home for hours until he was taken into custody. There are no words I can say that can quantify the victimization in this case, Bucks County DA Jen Shorn said. Excuse me. We will never ever understand the loss. It's unimaginable. Before sentencing, Gordon, the judge, gave his victims one last chance to have their voices heard. This time, through family members left behind. All but one requested that Shorn or First Deputy DA Edward Luca read their words for them. One letter was not read out loud, the one written by Daniel's 6-year-old daughter. But another letter was shown that the girl wrote in red crayon and block letters, I miss you, mommy. I am sad because my daddy killed her. In her impact statement, Nancy Daniel wrote about how she can't sleep and experiences flashbacks to that morning. The bullet holes in her carpet and walls are still there. She hasn't got the money to fix them. She is raising her granddaughters, now 4 and 6, which has resulted in a 25% loss in her income. Her potential retirement plans are on hold. I'm hollow inside. There is an emptiness I never knew could exist, wrote Daniel, who attended the hearing with her son, John. She worries about her granddaughters, especially the older one. She won't sleep alone anymore. She screams at the sound of loud noises or door knocks. I'm pretty sure they won't feel safe, the grandmother added. She needs to get her into therapy. Grandma, I know it's hard for you. I know you have experienced a significant loss. It's not going to get better. However, you have to take things one moment at a time. If it's hard, one day at a time. You have to get up and put one foot in front of the other. And if you need help, you have to ask for help. It sounds like you need help. You need financial support. You may have to do a GoFundMe, a fundraiser, something to help you financially. But more importantly, you have to get some therapy for yourself and your two granddaughters, especially your 6-year-old granddaughter, because she's struggling. And this is hard. This is something that she's going to keep reliving until she finds ways to deal with the pain, the anxiety, reliving it. It's hard. It's very hard. Okay. Andre Gordon Sr. wrote that he was filled with perpetual grief at the loss of his wife, daughter, and Daniel, who he called his son's wife, though they were not married. Raising his surviving 15-year-old daughter as a single father has been difficult, but his church and community have stood beside him and supported him, and it has made a difference, he said, but it does not erase the pain, he added. It's really a horror. It's a horror. His 15-year-old daughter wrote that when Andre, who she called AJ, arrived from his native Jamaica to live with the family when he was a teenager to escape the violence there, little did she know that decision was a mistake because he brought the violence to you, to your home, to your peace. As he's leaving the violence in Jamaica, he's getting a fresh start, an opportunity, but he doesn't take it. He doesn't do right. He doesn't make good choices. He brings the violence home and tries to murder everybody. She wrote that AJ seemed overwhelmed with the pressures of adulthood and raising the two children he had with Daniel, his high school girlfriend. They met as students at Pennsbury High School. He has made me lose two of the most important people of my life with no remorse, the teen wrote. Karen Gordon's brother, Joshua Barry Daly, said he didn't prepare a statement for court. He told McHugh that he wanted to speak from his heart. His sister Karen pretty much raised him, he said. She taught him to be independent. She was a U.S. military veteran who served in the Gulf War. a sister, a mother, a grandmother, and a godmother to his 1-year-old son. His niece Kera, she was his daughter's best friend. She was always smiling. She embraced her Jamaican heritage. This loss is more than just my sister and my niece, Barry Daly said, pausing briefly. I lost a piece of myself that I don't think I'll ever come back from. What Andre Gordon Jr. took can never be replaced, he added. I just want to say this. I can't forgive him. I can never forgive him. But, sir, you have to try. And the reason you have to try because the anger and the pain, it holds you hostage. You cannot be happy. You cannot dance. You cannot sing. Even in moments where you're happy, you feel guilty because you think of your loved one and how they're not there, especially if you pass their age. You're like, well, I lived past their age and I'm still here. But you have to live an abundant life for the two of you, for all of you. You have to live it with vigor, with joy, with peace, because if you don't, he wins. He set out to destroy the fabric of the family. But if you give in to that anger, that pain is going to make you suffer even more. And you, sir, you don't deserve that. And your sister, Karen, and your niece, Kera, she and your sister, they don't want that for you. They want you to live an abundant life, enough to bring it to heaven, to bring the love, the joy to heaven for them, because they have had their life taken from them. But it doesn't mean that you have to go on with your life taken from you. Don't be a victim, be a victor. Get out there and immerse yourself, indulge yourself, love life, love people. Because when you don't, you will be stuck in darkness. And you don't want to live like that. Let's get to the last thing, and that's the district attorney. She did a press conference. This is provided by Bucks County District Attorney. It's titled, Gordon pleads guilty to murdering 3, sentenced to 3 consecutive terms. We will wrap it up after this, okay? This video is about 10 minutes long.
I think it's good afternoon at this point. I'm Jennifer Shorn, Bucks County District Attorney. To my left is Detective Tim Furman of the Bucks County District Attorney's Office. To his right is Ed Luca, First Assistant District Attorney in my office. To his right is Detective Jason Callahan of the District Attorney's Office. And to his right is Sergeant Mike Callahan of the Falls Township Police Department. I'm happy to answer any questions, but essentially, as you know, Andre Gordon Jr. was just sentenced for the murder of Karen Gordon, her daughter, 13-year-old child, who we won't name publicly, and 25-year-old Taylor Daniel. He was also sentenced for other crimes involving this murder spree. As it relates to those crimes, the carjacking of an individual so that he could successfully escape from Bucks County back to Trenton, where he was later apprehended, and charges related to the burglary, robberies, and every other crime that ensued during this murderous carnage. So I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
The real ones know. Stepping into one circle means
For
becoming
the
part of
ad.
another.
And we've all been doing this a long time, you've been doing this longer than us. That, the videos, the audio, if you could sum up your argument, I believe you said he was hunting.
Yeah, I mean, the evidence showed he was hunting in that home, and I don't think that every case obviously is so impactful, but to know that a mom and her 13-year-old daughter were tucked behind the mom's first floor office door, that locked door, hoping and praying on the phone with 911, just praying for help. And you hear, I hate to not mention her by name, but just for the sake of the family, I'm not going to publicly. You heard her name mentioned in the courtroom, but you hear that little voice saying, please, please, please help, please. I don't think there's anything worse that, we hear in this job, but then you hear Karen's wails, quite frankly. There's no other way to describe it, when her daughter was murdered right before her, in her arms, no doubt. And then shortly thereafter, Karen. It's heartbreaking. And then, as if that's something it was a struggle for everyone, I think, watching that to get through. And then what is going to happen in the next home. And then you hear Taylor's 911 call, and to have the wherewithal for her to yell to her mom and her brother, get in your bedrooms, lock the door. And she scoops up her girls in their little princess nightgowns and makes sure to get them safely in the bedroom. And as you heard, her 5-year-old child described, they were hiding under her little sister's Spidey covers. And she put her hand over her little sister's mouth because she was afraid Daddy would pew them too with the gun gesture. I don't think it gets worse than that.
The 911 call, you hear the little girl.
Yeah, you hear Mommy. You hear after you hear what is Nancy Daniels' heroic actions with an axe handle to literally attack the gunman who has just fatally shot her daughter to save the rest of her family with an axe handle, no head to the axe, just a wooden handle, and successfully get him to flee then. And then you hear once, obviously, 5-year-old, who I won't mention by name, is able to peek out from the covers, and she says, Mommy. Yeah, those 2 911 calls, it doesn't get worse than that. And again, I just have to, at sentencing, I touched on it, but I have to praise the investigation that was done by 3 detectives here with the Falls Township Police Department and the Bucks County District Attorney's Office, but the collaboration, the law enforcement agencies that responded, I think it became apparent in that all of Falls Township is going to a double homicide in their jurisdiction, to only learn that another homicide is likely unfolding in another house in their jurisdiction. So Bristol Township, Tullytown, Morrisville, Middletown, everybody, Lower Makefield, the officers on scene were Lower Makefield officers as well, responding to assist. And then while they're there, you see in Lower Makefield officers' faces when the when the alerts go out about an armed robbery at the Dollar General. It was quite frankly a scary time in Bucks County. And I just cannot emphasize the amazing work done by all of the people I mentioned here, but all of the other agencies. The state police assisted, New Jersey State Police obviously were extraordinary, Mercer County, Trenton, everyone. And that's why this case was successfully prosecuted the way it was.
Could you just speak to why the life sentence was on parole rather than going to capital life?
We respected the family's wishes, and each family member, for different reasons, none for mitigation, but for different reasons, knew in their hearts this is what they wanted. So we respected their wishes. Obviously, though, I have to state, this kind of result doesn't happen on its own. It happens because the amazing work that the men and women in the investigation did, that allows us, my colleague Ed Luca and I, to be able to prosecute the case in the manner we did, to be able to negotiate 3 consecutive life sentences plus a 4th, essentially exceeding, essentially 2 additional life sentences. And knowing now we can make this about the victims. That's what today was, at least, some closure in that it was all about the victims. And that's how it should be at sentencing.
Let's make light of the victims and the ending here. But there was reference during the hearing about his time in treatment at Norristown State Hospital, and Judge McHugh even said he needs treatment as part of why he. Was there a mental health component to this? There
was, but when we're looking at mental health from a criminal prosecution, you look at somebody's capacity to make the decisions they made. He had clear ability to make those decisions. He had cool reflection. He had moments to abandon his criminal spree. He had the ability to assert certain rights throughout the process, which takes a level of capacity to understand and to invoke. So yes, although that is a component, I think in most homicides, that's a component, but that doesn't explain. It doesn't explain it, certainly, and I know you were not at all suggesting a justification, but yes.
Has he ever said why he did it?
No. We know, though, that, his family was very good to him. They were very good to him, and he was loved. So we know that I think, I won't mention her name, but the surviving victim who prepared a victim impact statement may have touched on some of the pressures that caused him to resent the mother of his children. We're just so thankful his children were spared and others were spared.
Speaking of that impact statement, she had written him coming to
the United States. What background can you provide on that?
He was of Jamaican descent. His father describes that his father was living the American dream. You know, his wife Karen served our country. Met Andre back in Jamaica. They came back to the U.S. together to start their family. Andre was working in the trades and Karen working 2 jobs, and they bought their home and living the American dream. So they brought his son over in the hopes of bettering his education when he was a junior in high school. And, you know, the facts in this case do indicate that he was associating with some pretty dangerous people in the city of Trenton. And but beyond that, and hence the access to the ghost gun, the personally manufactured gun that he acquired to carry out his crimes. But I need to say that the family members were supportive and remarkable in both households.
So he was given a lot of opportunities.
Yes, yes.
In court, she was referred to as his wife. What was their actual relationship? An ex-girlfriend?
Meaning as it relates to Taylor, Daniel, and the defendant, yes, not legally married, but at one point they were raising their 2 children together until he stopped providing for them and she had to move home.
So it wasn't ex-girlfriend?
No, not legally married, but I believe that the family views her as they lost a daughter-in-law. And now obviously both families are going to be raising these grandchildren.
Has there been any charges or further investigation into the ghost gun?
I can't speak specifically to that, but I can tell you that very much, New Jersey authorities are very much aggressively handling that aspect of the investigation.
Well, on the topic of family, just to clarify, the youngest victim in this was his stepsister or half-sister? Half-sister. Mm-hmm. Yes, and I believe was there another question that you had earlier?
She asked it.
Oh, yeah, there you go. If there's no other questions, I'm happy to answer if there's any more, but if there's no other questions, I appreciate you being here.
Quickly,
Yeah.
the way the sentence structure, correctly, it sounded like that's to make sure if there are any higher court rulings on life without parole.
Yeah, to that, I've personally been assigned to handle resentencings on individuals prosecuted by former District Attorney Alan Rubenstein, where sentences were negotiated to life without the possibility of parole for a heinous murder to individuals. And because the law changed and suddenly deemed life without the possibility of parole no longer the penalty that someone 17 and a half and just shy of 17 deserves, they were resentenced and eligible for parole, and one was paroled. We need to be clear on this record that it is our intention that this defendant will die within the 4 walls of the correctional facility, and that is the only way that justice will be served in this case. Thank you.
You know, I agree. Heinous crimes such as what happened in this case, I mean, how are we letting these people back into the community? I do believe some people can pay their debt and come back into the community, but with this violence and violence against family members, I mean, that means that you would hurt anybody. No one would be spared. Again, I want to send condolences out to the families. My hope is that you will be able to come together, Taylor's family, Andre's family, to raise the 2 minor young children. And also Andre's dad, Mr. Gordon, you know, that you're raising a teenager that you didn't know you would not have your wife and your other daughter. So my condolences for your losses. I just pray that you're able to move forward, to still be able to live the life under these new circumstances in the best manner that you can. It's not easy. But it's possible. And continue to get the support that you need from your community, from your church, from therapy to do it. I wish you well, all of you involved, including and especially the children. Thank you for spending this time with me. I really, really, really appreciate it. I want you to stay safe, stay smart, stay savvy, be well, all my friends. Bye, everybody.